What are the first basic characteristics why we are studying meristematic tissue is, it has, meristematic tissues are those tissues which has the power of cell division. And when we come, these cells are normally comprising of, these may be round in shape, they may be oval in shape, and these cells will have less number of intercellular spaces, or there will be no intercellular spaces present in them. These are living cells, and these do not they are helpful in the storing of reserve food material. And again, as we said, meristematic tissue is again of two types, primary meristems and secondary meristems. Right? Now, what is primary meristem? Primary meristem is the one which is formed from the primary plant body, is called as primary meristem. This meristematic tissue forms the basic of all the ground tissues of the plant. Any part of the plant body where there is a state of continuous cell division, there you can say that you are having a meristematic tissue. Now, in this you are having the division of the meristematic tissue will be equal, it will be depending upon the position from where this meristematic tissue is growing, either it may be anticlinal or periclinal. When it is a process of division, so for example, in case of cells of dermatogen, the tissues where the dermatogen layer is developing, it will develop in anticlinal division will be there. What is anticlinal division? The division will be at right angles to that of the structure which is developing. Now, in case of cambial tissue, cambial cells or cambial tissue, cambial cells, the division of the meristematic tissue division will be parallel to the surface. Right? So, now here depending upon the positions, meristematic tissues have the division like anticlinal and periclinal division. Anticlinal division example is in the case of meristematic tissue shows anticlinal type of division in the case of the cells where dermatogen layer is developed, and cambial cells will show the division of the cells parallel to the surface. As we said that there is meristematic tissue is of two types. First we will be studying about the primary meristems. Okay. Now, in my primary meristems, as the name itself indicates, primary means it is the tissue which was developed in the primary plant body, or it is a tissue which is developed from the embryonic part of the body. Embryonic stage of the plant, and this develops in the primary plant body. Now, here this, in case of some as you are given examples in your syllabus, in case of palms and banana plant. Okay, in this type of monocots, where these are monocots, in this, when there is no secondary growth. Now, when there is no secondary growth is occurring, we need the plant to grow in the length. Okay. So, what we will do, the apical cells which are helpful will help in the multiplication and movement, adding more to the apical initials which are present at the tip of the plants. We will have these primary meristematic tissue present at the apical initials, which will help in the multiplication and increase in the height of the plant body. Okay. Now, this type of cells which are help in the embryonical growth or in the initial stage of multiplication of the plant body, then those types of tissues are seen in the examples like palms and banana plant. Okay. Now, next, these type of tissues which helps in the initial growth, increase in the height of the initial growth of the tissues, those are also called as primary thickening meristems. Means what they do here they will be helpful in multiplication where there is no secondary growth. They will go towards the initial stages, apical initials, they will multiply the cells and they will help in the increasing the thickness of the tissue, then those are called as primary thickening meristems. When we come here, these primary meristems are again divided into three types. Now, this type of classification is based on the basis of position. If for example, this is a diagram, here depending on the position you can have apical meristem, you can have lateral meristem, you can have intercalary meristems. If it is a plant, depending on the topmost position, on the middle position and towards the sides of the plant, the growth of the tissues, meristematic tissues present in the primary plant body are categorized into apical, lateral and intercalary meristem. Now, apical meristems, these are the meristems which are present at the tip of the root, stems and branches. These are the meristems which are present at the apical meristems, which are present at the apical initials or apical tips at the top of the root, stem and branches. Okay. Now, what is happening here? These initials, apical initials will undergo, again this apical meristems is having two more parts. If it is an apical term, here this is the apical meristem. So, here you have two sections. First one is called as promeristem and another one is a meristematic zone. So, apical meristems which are present almost at the tips of the roots, stems and branches. These type of apical meristems are divided into two zones. Those are called as promeristematic zone, promeristem and meristematic zone. So, here these promeristematic zones are group of division of cells will occur at the promeristem will show a group of cells with the group of initials, apical initial cells will be there. And again this meristematic zone will show the continuous division, multiplication of the cells, and this will increase in the height of the tip of the plant. Okay, next one, these meristematic zones are again divided into three. What are those? These are divided into protoderm. It is again divided into procambium and again divided into ground meristem. Meristematic tissue on the basis of position, three types are there: apical, lateral, intercalary. First we are talking about apical meristem. In apical meristem, at the tip of all the roots, stems and branches you will see the presence of apical meristems. This apical meristem has two parts, those are called as promeristems and meristematic tissue. This promeristem has a group of division of cells at the initials, and this meristematic zones helps in the dividing of the cells, and this meristematic zone is again divided into three parts: protoderm, procambium and ground meristem. Now, protoderm, procambium and ground meristem. Protoderm will ultimately give rise to epidermal tissue system. This will give rise to primary vascular tissue system. And ground meristem, as we all know, it will give rise to remaining cortex and pith. Now, this is about apical meristem. Next type of meristematic tissue on the basis of the position is intercalary meristem. What is intercalary meristem? Intercalary, as the name indicates, inter means in between. These are the cells which are formed or intercalated in between the permanent tissues. So, now this originate from the apical meristems. These are the tissues which originate from the apical meristem when their total growth is over, when their development, their portion gets totally detached from the original plant body. For example, in grasses, these are normally present in the internodal regions of the leaves. This may also helpful in the development of the flower or new branch from this region. Now, for example, the example here is grasses. Now, in grasses, what will happen? When internode completes their process of elongation, what will happen? Some cells at the base will retain their capacity of division, and they will, what will happen? For example, on the ground, grasses is growing. When they complete the stage of growing, they come on the earth. The animals which graze the grasses, they eat of the grasses, and the remaining internodal region is left over on the ground, and this internodal region will be showing the intercalary meristem, where there is a capacity of multiplication, and again they will grow into a new grass. Now, activity and function of intercalary meristem just lies at the activity and whatever multiplication is there, that lies at the nodal region of the plant. Next one is lateral meristems. These are the meristems. Now, these are the meristems which are lying towards the lateral sides of the plants. For example, this is the longitudinal plants. So, the sides of the plants will be having the lateral meristems. Lateral meristems, as we said, lateral meristem will be type of meristematic tissue that is growing towards the sides of the plant body. We have an example, we can say primary cambium, which is present in between the xylem and phloem, is also an example for the primary cambium. Now these are the tissues which are responsible for the secondary growth, development of the, for producing the secondary tissue. They are responsible for producing the secondary tissue, and this lateral meristem also helps in the giving the thickness of the plant. It gives thickness to the plant. Now the next type of meristematic tissue we are supposed to study, we have till now we have studied about apical meristem, intercalary meristem and lateral meristem. Okay, as we said, just revising what we have did till now, apical meristems are the meristems which are present towards the apical initials of the roots, stems and branches. They are of again two types. They have promeristems and the apical initials. Next, intercalary meristems are the meristems which are present at the nodal region. These are formed from the primary meristematic tissue, apical meristems, and they help in the growth of the branches, flowers, all those. And lateral meristems are those meristems which are present on the side of the plant bodies, which will help in the development of the secondary tissues and also help in the increasing the thickness of the particular plant body. So this is a type of meristematic division, tissue division on the basis of the position on where they are occurring on the plant body. Now another type of meristematic tissue which we have said earlier we will be discussing is about secondary meristematic tissue. Secondary meristematic tissue. Now what is this? This type of tissue may be defined as those tissues which are formed from or derived from the permanent tissues, and this type of tissues are derived from the permanent tissues which have already undergone differentiation, and this type of tissues are not present through the beginning of the formation of the plant. This type of tissues are coming into existence at the time of any kind of emergency. If for example if the plant gets wounded, so for example in our plant body, in our body we get a wound, our body is cut, we keep some ointment, again the whole portion of the body is rejuvenated, we get the new cells on that skin. So in the similar case in the plants also, at the time of emergency, if there is a wound, the healing of the wound on the plant, this can, at that time this type of meristematic tissue will come into existence. They give the multiplication, they divide and help in the growth of the plant. Now in this case, the example for this is cock cambium, fascicular cambium can be taken as the better example for this. These are the tissues, these are primary permanent tissues which help in the thickness of the plant body, and these are always in the lateral position, and they also help in the secondary growth in the plant. They are helpful for the secondary growth in the plant. A type of meristematic tissue which is helpful at the time of emergency, and it will be present towards the lateral side of the body, and it will be helping the plant for its secondary growth. This type of tissue is called as secondary meristematic tissue. So till now we have studied about primary meristematic tissue, apical meristem, intercalary and lateral meristem. Next you have the secondary meristematic tissue which will be helping in the healing of the wounds.